In a bustling airport terminal, a scene unfolded that would capture the attention of everyone nearby. A white woman named Sarah Jenkins stood near the boarding gate, her voice ringing out with indignation as she pointed accusatively at a black woman across from her. "This woman has no business being on this flight. People like her are always trouble." Sarah's tone dripped with entitlement, her perfectly manicured nails gripping the handle of her designer handbag, her expression one of pure disdain. As the crowd of weary travelers buzzed with excitement and anticipation for their upcoming flights, Sarah's harsh words cut through the noise. Heads turned in shock, conversations ceased. Some passengers exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to intervene or remain silent. A few onlookers watched with interest, forming their own judgments about the unfolding drama. In the midst of the commotion stood Lisa Thompson, a poised young woman with a calm demeanor. Lisa didn't need to raise her voice or engage in a heated argument. Her mere presence spoke volumes. She was the epitome of grace under pressure. As the camera turned to focus on her, the narrator encouraged viewers to share their thoughts in the comments and hit the subscribe button if they were against unjust treatment. Lisa, dressed in a sleek but unassuming travel outfit, exuded an effortless beauty that belied her true identity. Unbeknownst to the onlookers, Lisa was the CEO of a highly successful airline company, having chosen to travel anonymously to witness firsthand how her airline treated its customers. In this charged atmosphere, the story of Lisa and Sarah was just beginning, hinting at the social tensions that would soon erupt. As Lisa maintained her composure, the audience was left to ponder the implications of societal biases and discrimination. Lisa Thompson was not just any ordinary passenger. She was an elegant, intelligent woman who carried herself with quiet confidence. Having built her success through hard work and resilience rather than privilege, Lisa had recently decided to travel incognito on her own airline, to experience the service from a passenger's perspective. She had spent years abroad, and this was her opportunity to witness the treatment of travelers firsthand. Dressed in a simple yet stylish outfit, Lisa had no desire to flaunt her wealth or status. In fact, no one on that flight had any idea who she truly was. As she prepared to board, she could sense the tension in the air created by Sarah's harsh words. While Sarah's entitled attitude reeked of arrogance, Lisa remained unfazed, embodying the strength and grace that came from understanding her own worth. Despite the assumptions people made based on appearances, Lisa was determined to experience the flight without any preconceptions. She had witnessed too many instances of bias in the industry, where travelers were treated differently due to their looks or attire. As she stood there waiting to board, Lisa's calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to Sarah's aggressive stance. The narrator encouraged viewers to reflect on their own experiences with discrimination and to voice their thoughts in the comments, inviting them to connect with the narrative unfolding before them. Lisa's story was one of resilience and dignity, a reminder that true strength often lies in remaining composed in the face of adversity. As the boarding process commenced, Sarah Jenkins's arrogance escalated. Spotting Lisa in the first-class line, she immediately decided without any hesitation or reason that Lisa didn't belong. With a haughty expression, Sarah approached a flight attendant, her voice dripping with entitlement. "Excuse me," she commanded, gesturing toward Lisa. "This woman is trying to board first class. I don't know how she got here, but she clearly doesn't belong in this line." The flight attendant, a young woman named Emily, paused, her eyes darting between Sarah's aggressive posture and Lisa's composed demeanor. "Ma'am, everyone in this line has been properly screened," Emily replied hesitantly. "If she's here, she has the right to be." Sarah scoffed, her annoyance palpable as she crossed her arms. "No, I refuse to believe that. If she's in this line, then something is seriously wrong." The atmosphere around them grew tense as other passengers began to take notice, exchanging uneasy glances as they wondered how this confrontation would unfold. Lisa, standing calmly with her boarding pass in hand, maintained a neutral expression. She didn't flinch at Sarah's accusations. Instead, she waited patiently while the flight attendant attempted to defuse the situation. Emily, clearly uncomfortable, glanced at Lisa. "Ma'am, do you have your boarding pass?" she asked, trying to keep the peace. Lisa handed it over without a word, her calmness contrasting sharply with Sarah's rising fury. As Emily scanned the boarding pass and confirmed Lisa's first-class status, Sarah's disbelief turned into frustration. "This is ridiculous," she exclaimed, her voice echoing across the gate. The other passengers began to shift uncomfortably, some looking away while others watched intently, caught up in the drama. In this charged moment, the tension between Sarah and Lisa intensified, setting the stage for a confrontation that would challenge both their perspectives. The narrator urged viewers to share their thoughts on the unfolding drama in the comments, and to subscribe if they believed in standing up against injustice. The scene was ripe with potential for conflict, leaving the audience eager to see how this clash would evolve. Once on the plane, Sarah's frustration reached a boiling point when she realized her assigned seat was right next to Lisa. Her face flushed with anger as she stood frozen, staring at the seat as if it were a personal affront. "There's no way I'm sitting here," she snapped loudly, drawing the attention of nearby passengers. A flight attendant noticed Sarah's outburst and approached cautiously. "Is there a problem, ma'am?" she asked, trying to maintain a professional demeanor. Sarah crossed her arms defiantly. "Yes, there is a problem. I refuse to sit next to her," she exclaimed, jerking her head toward Lisa, who was calmly adjusting her belongings. Lisa remained unfazed, continuing to organize her carry-on without acknowledging Sarah's hostility. The flight attendant blinked in confusion, glancing between the two women. "Ma'am, these are assigned seats. We can't make last-minute changes unless there's an available alternative," she explained, her voice steady despite the tension. Passengers around them began to shift in their seats, some pretending to be engrossed in their phones, while others watched the escalating situation with a mixture of curiosity and discomfort. Sarah's irritation grew as she scanned the cabin, her eyes pleading for someone to switch seats with her, but everyone quickly averted their gaze to avoid getting involved. "Someone must be willing to trade with me," Sarah demanded, her voice rising in desperation. A few passengers exchanged nervous glances, clearly uncomfortable with the scene. Lisa, still composed, took a deep breath and focused on her bag, unwilling to get drawn into Sarah's drama. As the cabin filled with tension, the narrator encouraged viewers to consider the dynamics of privilege and entitlement, inviting them to comment on the situation and subscribe if they believed in fairness and equality. The power struggle between Sarah and Lisa was palpable, and the unfolding conflict hinted at deeper societal issues that would soon come to light. As the flight took off, Sarah's simmering frustration boiled over into a reckless outburst. Determined to assert her dominance, she saw Lisa reaching for her carry-on to store it in the overhead bin. Without a second thought, Sarah shot out her hand and yanked Lisa's suitcase down with unnecessary force, causing it to hit the floor with a loud thud that echoed through the cabin. Gasps rippled among the passengers, many of whom turned to witness the sudden aggression. Some exchanged bewildered glances, while others sat frozen in shock, unsure whether to intervene. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, tension filling the air as Sarah's face twisted in disgust. "You are not putting your things anywhere near me," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the silence. Lisa blinked in surprise but quickly regained her composure. She picked up her bag, dusted it off, and calmly replied, "Sarah, this is a shared space. The overhead bins are for everyone." However, Sarah was having none of it. Fueled by anger, she shouted, "I don't care. I want you to move your stuff." Lisa took a deep breath, trying to maintain her patience. "I'm just trying to put my carry-on away," she said, her tone steady. But Sarah was spiraling, her frustration growing as Lisa remained unbothered by her antics. In a fit of rage, Sarah grabbed Lisa's suitcase again and hurled it across the aisle, sending it crashing to the ground with another loud bang. The entire cabin fell into stunned silence. Passengers were left in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. The flight attendants, alerted by the commotion, rushed to the scene, their expressions a mix of concern and confusion. Sarah stood there, chest heaving, feeling a rush of adrenaline as she relished the spectacle. The narrator urged viewers to reflect on the seriousness of Sarah's actions, encouraging them to share their thoughts in the comments and hit the subscribe button if they believed that such behavior should never be tolerated. This pivotal moment marked a critical turning point in the narrative, as the consequences of entitlement and aggression began to unfold before the eyes of everyone present. The tension in the cabin escalated as flight attendants approached, ready to address the chaotic situation. Sarah, still riding high on her misguided sense of power, pointed dramatically at Lisa. "This woman is out of control. She threw her bag at me," she exclaimed, her voice filled with faux outrage. Lisa, maintaining her calm demeanor, simply looked at the flight attendants and said nothing, allowing Sarah to dig her own grave. The lead flight attendant, a seasoned professional named Karen, assessed the scene with a keen eye. "Ma'am, we need to get to the bottom of this," she stated firmly, her voice steady. She turned to Lisa. "Can you explain what happened?" Before Lisa could respond, Sarah interjected, her voice rising. "She's a menace. I want her removed from this flight." The other passengers, who had been watching with growing interest, began to murmur among themselves, their expressions shifting from shock to disapproval of Sarah's behavior. As Karen looked between the two women, it became clear that Sarah's theatrics were not having the desired effect. The passengers' reactions turned from concern for Sarah to judgment of her actions. Sensing the shift, Karen's expression hardened. "Ma'am, I assure you that we will investigate this situation thoroughly," she said, directing her attention back to Sarah. "But I need you to calm down." The flight attendants were clearly uncomfortable, caught between Sarah's frantic accusations and Lisa's composed silence. Just then, two security officers entered the cabin, their presence commanding immediate attention. The atmosphere thickened with tension as they approached, ready to handle the disruptive passenger. "Ma'am, we've been informed of an incident involving a passenger causing a disturbance," one of the officers stated as he scanned the cabin. He locked eyes with Sarah, who had shifted from aggression to defensiveness. "We need to hear your side of the story," he added. Sarah, sensing the gravity of the situation, quickly shifted her approach. "She attacked me. I was just defending myself," she shouted, her voice trembling with manufactured fear. Meanwhile, Lisa sat quietly, her hands resting calmly in her lap, watching the drama unfold without a hint of panic. The narrator encouraged viewers to consider the implications of Sarah's actions, inviting them to share their thoughts in the comments, and to subscribe if they believed in standing up for what was right. The unfolding drama continued to hold everyone's attention, a poignant reminder of the consequences of entitlement and the importance of standing firm in the face of adversity. As the tension in the cabin reached its peak, the lead security officer turned his attention to Lisa, who remained calm and composed. "Ma'am, we need you to step forward," he instructed. The weight of Sarah's accusations hung heavily in the air, and the passengers watched in silence, their eyes darting between the two women. Just as Lisa stood to comply, a sharply dressed airline executive entered the cabin, radiating authority. With him were two other high-ranking officials, their serious expressions immediately commanding respect. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as the presence of the executives caused a ripple of surprise among the passengers. "Miss Thompson, I sincerely apologize for the misunderstanding," the executive said, his voice steady as he approached Lisa. "We had no idea you were on this flight." Gasps echoed through the cabin as the realization of Lisa's true identity dawned on everyone. Sarah's face drained of color, her earlier bravado evaporating as she processed the implications of the executive's words. "Wait, what? Who is she?" she stammered, her voice now shaky and uncertain. The executive's gaze turned to Sarah, and for the first time he showed a flicker of disapproval. "You just harassed and attempted to remove the CEO of this airline from her own flight," he said, his tone firm and unyielding. The murmurs among the passengers grew louder, their disbelief transforming into sympathy for Lisa and disdain for Sarah. As the reality of her actions sunk in, Sarah's facade crumbled. "I didn't know," she protested, her voice now weak. "I thought," but she couldn't finish her sentence, lost in the weight of her own arrogance. Lisa, standing tall and unwavering, looked directly at Sarah. "That's exactly the problem," she stated calmly. "You assumed I didn't belong here without knowing who I really was." The words resonated deeply, not just for Sarah but for everyone present, highlighting the dangers of prejudice and bias. The lead security officer sighed, stepping closer to Sarah. "Miss Jenkins, we will need to remove you from this flight immediately." Panic surged through Sarah as she realized the consequences of her actions, her protest falling on deaf ears. "No, you can't do this," she shrieked, her voice rising in desperation. As security escorted Sarah off the plane, the cabin erupted into applause from the other passengers who had witnessed the unjust treatment unfold. Lisa, finally able to relax, took a deep breath, her composure intact. The flight attendant approached Lisa, her tone softer now. "Is there anything we can do to make this right?" she asked, genuine concern in her voice. Lisa smiled gently and shook her head. "No, I think the lesson has already been learned," she replied, her calmness radiating throughout the cabin. The narrator encouraged viewers to reflect on the importance of standing up against injustice and to share their thoughts in the comments. As the plane settled into a newfound peace, the lesson of respect and understanding lingered in the air, a reminder that true power lies in kindness and dignity.